How's it going? All good? Enjoying the conference? It's the last one, okay? Afterwards, we can go for a beer. It's on me. All right, so today I'm going to talk about speak the culture, not the language. That's basically my experience. I'm going to share my learnings after being abroad and after being learning languages, and after all these experiences, how I look backwards, or even while learning them, and then I realize about certain hacks, I like to call them. So I'm gonna start with sharing some interesting facts. There are no rules, but they are just hacks. Let's call it. All right. Raise hands. How many of you speak more than one language? Okay. More than two? Okay. More than three? Okay. More than four? Okay. More than five? Wow. Wow. You want to change? You want to talk? So learn a new language. Learning a new language is not always easy, right? We have this question. It's full of grammar and nouns and declinations and all these adjectives and verbs and all these things that please don't talk to me about. That is the thing that we always feel the first time we are tackling the learning process of a language. However, I do believe that learn a language is for everybody. I have heard that people say, like, learning a language is not for me. I totally disagree. Like, we can learn languages as much as we can, and we are capable. Because you remember when you first learned, your native language, your mother tongue. Maybe yes, maybe no. But perhaps, and maybe you agree with me, the main thing you will remember is that it was super smooth. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It took like 5 years, 6 years, depends how much. I don't know if you had like an older brother who was bullying you, or you were watching cartoons, maybe that speed up your process. But let's say 5 to 6 years, you learn your mother tongue. It wasn't easy, but it was smooth. It was a totally natural and organic learning process. So with that said, if we go to the baby, right? The baby example is going to be good in this conference, this talk. When we were babies, we started with simple words, simple and really primitive expressions. We were capable of just doing really baby language. And maybe we don't remember, but we know how babies are growing like a sponge. They're absorbing everything. So at some point, when we were, let's say, as older we get, we started to gather more and more words until we can create sentences more eloquent. We had more sophisticated way of expression. And then until the point that we create an identity, okay? We create an identity with this language. Because I like to see languages as a labyrinth, okay? And native speakers, they know how the secret passages are. Like, we know how you can sneak around. Like, oh, yeah, you are not a native speaker and you don't understand this. It's kind of hard. This is one of the biggest challenges when you're trying to learn a foreign language, right? And this labyrinth, eventually, what is going to happen, you will see, is going to be a constraint. With this identity, and I want to share this, be honest with you, it took years for me living in Germany until I can say now that when I speak German, I feel one part of me is German, all right? I'm totally German, and it's not about nationality or something, it's not about passport or whatsoever. I don't really care about that thing. It's more about how your identity has been developed in certain language with certain concepts, and therefore how you see reality, how your word, how you interpreted the word is based upon these words, right? For instance, I still have some problems with timing. And I'm just saying not because I'm Mexican, all right? Just put it on me. I take responsibility if there is another Mexican here. But that's something that I'm still working on, all right? Timing is something that I haven't adopted in my German identity. So you see, learning a language is not just going to taking lessons or just getting a book. Like, I don't know, these books are learning Spanish for dummies in 2 weeks. And then, oh, you know, what are you doing? I'm learning Spanish. I got this book. No. It's not, learning a language is not like learning math or learning history. It's more than that. And this is what this talk is about. The cultural aspect is the main key, actually. We need to understand that learning a language is building a communication skill, which is not only your voice, it's your gesture, it's your expression, it's your tonality, your phonemes. All these holistic system makes a language. So what I'm telling you is, well, because let's bring the hackers, you know, let's bring the hacks and try to break down the language learning process. So in order to share with you this my journey of learnings, I will convoke these guys, these little fellas here, which, by the way, we can name it. It's going to be an adult, it's going to be a kid, it's going to be a robot. Why a robot? Well, robots are cool. And it's not going to be a C-3PO, okay, or Arturito from Star Wars. But it's going to be like, let's say, nowadays robots, okay? It's not super smart. Why? Because I would like to guide you in a comparison of learning by a machine, by a baby, and by now. Any suggestion from the name of the adult? Any idea? You want to say, do you have any suggestions? Jimmy. All right, Jimmy. So it's going to be Jimmy and the Jimmy kid and the robot. Any name? All right, Rangy. Rangy the robot. Jimmy and, all right. So the first thing is learning to unlearn. That was my first learning. One of my first experiences when I was living in Germany, and I couldn't even construct a proper sentence. You know, it's like I was totally constrained by my previous language. I was basically speaking as a 5-year-old boy, okay? And why? Well, the answer is because as I explained to you, I tried to explain to you how these labyrinth words in our minds is in fact making a constraint in your mind. So whenever you are learning, you are learning a new language, try to compare everything from your native language and against the foreign. It's going to slow you down, all right, rather than help you. For instance, when I was learning at the beginning of my learning process in German, there are some sentences in German that the most important part of the sentence goes at the end. So you gotta wait until the end. So especially the conditionals. So you gotta wait until you end the sentence, and then you gotta wait until the person who is talking finish, and then you will understand what it's about. Right? That's different from when if you are, let's say, even in English or in Spanish. It doesn't work like that. Okay? So this grammar mentality, this structural thing in your mind, it was really, really hard. I had some hard times. So how did I tackle that problem? Well, let's go to a comparison. So being flexible is the key. And by flexible, I mean it could help you to have some comparison, such as, in Italian is like that, in Spanish is like that. Makes sense. Grammar, or structural minds are pretty similar. But if you go, okay, my core, let's say, my kernel is in Spanish, and I want to jump to Russian or German, for instance, they're grammatically speaking, our structures are different. That will slow you down if you start to compare. You just gotta be like a baby. So if you're a baby, you're just brand new. If you were a robot, it will be a clean installation. Imagine you have a robot, you're gonna, okay, I want my robot to speak Spanish, boom, just install it, delete it, install it. Super simple, right? A baby, well, the disadvantage of the baby, well, he doesn't have previous experience. And Renji, the robot, has limited resources. That's pretty much the same always with the robots. But, okay, that was the key. Be flexible for this one. Then pick your tools wisely. And by tools, meaning that all tools that are meant to be helpful in your learning process, okay? That's what I'm meaning here by tools. And that includes words, which is the nuclear and the atomic, the atomic unit of a language is our words. So I will tell you a really, really story that happened to me. There was an event in a hospital where I have to give away some like donations for kids. So there's a word in Spanish which is muñeca, which is basically a doll, as you can see. And I didn't have internet in my phone back then. And I said, okay, I prepare everything. I prepare my speech. I prepare the words that I will need. I'm talking about, like, you know, I have this 5 years old communication skill, right? So I went to the hospital. I went with a box. And it was $5, $6 as a donation to the hospital for the kids. So I went there. The guy is, you know, kind of grumpy. And he looks at me like, okay, was willst du haben? Like, what do you want? Okay, I want to give this, you know, for the donation. This is a box. Oh, what is in the box? What is this about? And I tried to explain that it was Handgelenk, okay? Which basically in English means wrist. Why happens that? Okay, I remember that I prepared my speech before, so I didn't have internet. I just go there, I went there, I gave up the box, and the guy was thinking that the box was full of wrist, like if I was chopping hands out of somebody or something like that. Why that happened? Well, it's because I was translating from the word muñeca, which is in Spanish, and is based upon the context. In English or in German has different meaning. So if you type this directly without knowing the context, you will be lost. And this is so tricky, and it has happened many times to me, and maybe perhaps to you also in your learning process. So picking wiser tools includes careful with meaning based on the context. The other thing is choose the right set of words while you're learning your first language. Let's say I'm going to start learning French or any other language. When something is meaningful for humans, we tend to have a better interest in learning the words than if you don't have any interest whatsoever. So picking words which are meaningful for you is going to be easier for you to remember. For instance, once I was really sick, and I had to go to the doctor. And if you, I don't know, you guys, if you have been in Germany, and going to the doctor in Germany is sometimes really painful, literally. And if you go there, you don't know the language, you gotta prepare yourself, and it's meaningful because you need to express to the doctor what do you have. And all the doctors in Germany speak English, so they don't like it, I don't know. So meaningful words are important to be remembered, all right? So how is it going with Renji the robot and Jimmy? So for an adult, the key is to be aware of those tools. The awareness of, all right, I got a dictionary, and I need to know that it's not, maybe I'm wrong. It's not literal in the context, okay? Or I need the awareness of knowing which words I should be learning rather than maybe unrelated, totally unrelated, or maybe really specific words that I don't need at the moment. I like to see Renji the robot as he has like a tons of tools, you know. I mean, if he's a robot, he can just go to the cloud and just pull any kind of service. That would be pretty easy for a robot. And I like to see the baby, like the time, you know. They have plenty of time. They're just babies. That's basically their main tool. What is the next one? Mimic the language, okay? That cost me, like, let's say, like 10 times going to do laundry because I didn't have a wash machine back then, and I had to go and wash my laundry. And there was an old lady sitting there, and then she was always saying, Ade. And I was like, okay. And then she was telling me things in German, and then Ade. So I didn't understand what she was saying, but basically, just to give you like previous information, Ade is like hello or goodbye, all right? So it's like you can say Ade, and it's both sides. So basically she was saying hello to me. But I didn't know. And for me, it was totally alien what she was doing, all right? So what I did is I tried to observe. I said, all right, let's check it out. What's happening? What's going on? So I started to mimic. So next time I saw that lady, I said, all right, maybe she's cursing me or something. I said, no. I will smile and I will say, Ade. So I say, Ade, and she actually answered. So I just started to mimic, I started playing with the mimics. And eventually, I got the knowledge, like pure, without any constraints. It's just like, oh, I know what it is. Because mimic the language is not only body language, but also by accents, by gestures, and all other means of the language, all the traits, right? So this leads to a really organic and natural learning process. So when you are mimicking the accent, when you are mimicking the way somebody speaks, when you hang out with a gang, they speak certain language, which is, I don't know if you guys had the experience, but it's really common because everyone has this skill. Like we like to feel connected to people, right? So we in order to generate this empathy with each other, we try to mimic one another, and it's something that is part of humans. So how is in this comparison with Jimmy and the baby, right? So the baby is just an expert. We were damn expert with this thing. Johnny, this guy, Jimmy, sorry, change the name. It's totally conscious. That's the key. That's the key. Because if you are conscious of this mimic technique, right? If you are conscious, you can use it. Advantage. So rather than a baby, if you see what is the disadvantage of the baby, it's like take amount of time. Take maybe 6 years. I talked already about this. It takes a lot of time for a baby, although mimic technique is quite fast. But if you are conscious mimic the language and you're totally unconstrained of your behavior, then that's a good chance. That's the hack, basically. And the robot, well, it's emotionless, and the learning process will be like machine learning. Cultural immersion. Cultural immersion is basically me trying to get an infusion of culture, right? And I'm not talking only in German, but any kind of culture. Nowadays, I don't believe in this idea that, in order to learn a language, you gotta be abroad. No. Goddamn, no. You can just go to Google or just watch videos or just meet with foreigners. I mean, nowadays it's a really globalized world, and we don't really need to be physically with somebody, right? 100% environment. But nevertheless, the cultural immersion is a need in order to understand the language. That's why we gotta speak the culture. So, speak the culture, I will tell you a story, which basically is me. It starts with me in the office in one of my previous company in Germany, in a computer, which I didn't have headphones. So I said, all right, I will just try to get in touch with the culture. Let's see what the German music is. So I started to play some songs. And at some point, I said, wow, there is a German anthem. I never heard the German anthem. Let's do it, come on. So I just typed, all right, German anthem, bam. And I started to sing it. For my luck, it has lyrics, So I was singing, Deutschland, Deutschland. I will stop singing it because it turned out it was the Nazi anthem. So all my colleagues, they were like, Jesus Christ, why this Mexican is doing? So I didn't know. It was totally a cultural immersion, 100%. And I was like, dude, shut up, please. All right, it's okay. What's going on? This is the German anthem, And I saw it was like your anthem from 1945 or 1940 or something. I said, okay, German is really old, of course. That must be. And then I checked, and nowadays they don't have lyrics. All right, that was a cultural immersion. So here is pretty simple. Get your infusion, the cultural. The key is the based on the context. I explained to you. Is based on the context is crucial when learning the language. For instance, there is a quite funny story. There is a word that we use a lot in Spanish, which is ahorita. Okay, ahorita, which will be like similar to English to say soon, or in German we say like gleich. So these words, they are totally a total misunderstanding among cultures because time is relative for based upon the person. Okay, so I was about to meet a friend of mine, and I told her, "All right, let's meet." Okay, yeah, I call you. All right, let's meet. I need some time. I said, "Okay, I'm coming ahorita." For me, ahorita means roughly 2 hours, 5 hours. 5 hours at most. And my friend, she's German, and for her, she was like 30 minutes. Okay, most 1 hour. But for me, I need some time. I come in ahorita, I come in glad, like for me it was like 4 hours. But I didn't purpose. I didn't. I just was like was my understanding, was my meaning of the word. Okay. So what happened is like at the end I called her and like, dude, I'm sorry, I left. I couldn't wait too much. So see the importance of learning the cultural background. Last but not least, this language exchange. I don't know if you guys know, but this is quite a good technique that I use a lot. This tandem with somebody, so you can exchange. Basically, it's a language exchange where you speak the language that you want to learn and vice versa, right? So you communicate with the other person, and it's a way of learning. That helped me a lot. Helped me personally a lot. What is the key? What is the learn here? For Johnny, Jimmy, and the Renji the robot. Well, for us will be the adaptation. The capability of adaptation of the individual is the key here. As more constrained you are, you're more likely to be capable of get out of the comfort zone. So for the baby, for instance, all the cultural traits, the baby will just learn it by essence. It's on the core, right? Of course, the baby has a limitation. It's totally limited by the environment where the baby was born, basically. For us, we are adults. We learn how to learn. We can just learn whatever we want. And well, I like to see that the robot at the moment has AI limitations. I like to see it like that. I don't know what you think. Fail fast, learn faster. That's a good one, actually. That took me a lot of beers to learn, to be honest. It took me a lot of parties to assist and singing, because it is widely known that when you are on the mysterious effect of alcohol, you are more fluent in languages, right? Everyone knows this thing. I'm not the only one, please tell me. But what I was doing wrong, and I was going to give you this as a chair, I was being really perfectionist. Okay, I was telling you about that at the beginning. I was speaking as a 5-year-old boy, right? So I was really focused on trying to stay the sentence as I will be doing even in English or my native language, which of course is not possible. It will take time and effort in trying to be more eloquent and more sophisticated language. So trying to be so perfectionist in a language just going to slow you down, okay? Because important here is to remember that mistakes are the gateway of improvement, okay? And if you are afraid to make mistakes, you're just gonna stall. You're gonna be stuck. That's gonna happen. You're just gonna slow down your development. So either you go and talk, or just get some beers and just chill. Nothing's gonna happen. All right. So the key point, of course, learn from mistakes. I think we're strong on that thing. Baby is fearless, and well, I like to see the robot is like high performs. Okay. Of course, the main problem is fear for us. Find a motivation. Okay. This is the key, basically. Okay. This is the main engine. Without motivation, we don't learn. We don't do basically nothing. Doesn't matter. There's nothing. For me, here, my motivation to learn German or English, basically, or some other language, was because not only a need, was not only the need, but also the need of empathize with my friends. Okay. So at the end, we want a language to communicate, to understand each other. That's the beauty of languages. And trying to find this empathy to make these links between my friends, my German friends, and make me feel part of the gang, speaking the language. It was just amazing. And that was one of my motivations. I wanted to connect with them. I want to understand that part of them. Okay? So here is my sharing that I can tell you is learn a language is self-commitment. It's not something that somebody's going to tell you how to learn English. I mean, I was learning French in school, you know. I had French 7 years, and I'm not able to speak a word. Just understand, but it happens. Why? Because you never use it, because you are not self-commitment. And there is passion, of course. Passion is another factor. And I'm not talking about passion for language, but passion for what you want to achieve. Imagine you want to work in Japan, and that's the dream of your life. And in Japan, you need to learn Japanese, right? So your passion will drive you, and you will just whatever it takes, and you're unstoppable. And of course, you gotta get out of the comfort zone. That's in the previous conference talk, I think Gabriel mentioned something. So again, guys, get out of the comfort zone. So what happened with this guy? Well, he started unstoppable. One, he found the motivation. Well, a baby does it as a need of expression. A baby needs to express. That's basically the main thing. And well, robots, they don't have, and I hope never have. The motivation was this, unaware. That's pretty easy. So that's the question. No, and the answer is no. No, not at all, not at all, not at all. And actually, you shouldn't even see it in this way. It's not a competition. It's not being how fast are you. It's just the journey. You gotta learn the language. It takes time. Be patient, and most of all, think about where you are. We are in Florida, and this is a universe of multiculturality. Sorry. And look at you. You guys, you are from all over the world. We have a lot of flags here. So let's try to connect. Let's try to understand each other. And that's it. That's it for my side. I will leave you with this. And thanks for your time.